1, 2. Welcome, everybody. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, just type better in the chat. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, just type better in the chat. If you hear me loud and clear, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let me know where you're calling in from as well. Let's hear where you're calling in from. Always nice to see who is plugged in. Kent is in the building. Kent, UK is here. Dallas, Texas is in the building. Boston, Massachusetts, Southeast London. Sweet, sweet TNT. Bromley, welcome, welcome. Oh, we got a few people in the waiting room. Let's let them in. Okay. All right. So we are still in the situation where the US government is on shutdown. All right. So we'll just, as we do, we'll go through some of the fundamentals, see what's happening, see what's coming up, see what had happened last week as well. Because of the US government shutdown, some of the US data is very much slow coming, right? Some of the US data isn't coming through. I don't think we've even got the non-farm payroll for last month. Well, not even for last month, for September. I don't even think that we've got that announcement yet. And we're in November right now. So interesting times. Okay. So we're gonna check out the calendars of both my FX book and investing.com. And let's see what's coming up. Let's see what happened last week as well. All right, so let me just share the screen. Oh, we got a few more people in the waiting room. Let's let them in. Okay. All right. So let's go to last week. Let's switch that up. Can you believe it? We are in November. That is something. All right. So last week there was the Labor Day holiday in New Zealand. And then we started getting some info from the US. We actually had the interest rate decision as well. We had a few interest rate decisions last week, actually. Let me just make sure that all my currencies are on. United Kingdom. Yep, that's fine. Right, okay. So we did have some positive news on Tuesday for the consumer confidence. That was for the US. We did have some positives as well for the inventory. And then the interest rate decision was as expected. Okay, it was expected that the interest rate would have dropped for the US, and that is exactly what happened. Then we did have an interest rate decision for the Japanese yen as well, and also the eurozone. So, all of that should start bleeding into this week. And let's see what the initial reaction was on the interest rate decision for the US, which was on Wednesday, and then we'll look at the Japanese yen and the the euro. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring up the individual currencies, dollar index, for example. Right, so the dollar index from Wednesday, right? So this is Wednesday here, where we had the interest rate decision. The dollar index showed that the US actually strengthened, right, when we had the interest rate decision. Okay, so the dollar index showed that the US strengthened, right? You see at 6 o'clock here, or 1800 hours, it says 1800 hours when the interest rate decision came out, 1800 hours, we saw a strong push to the US to the upside for a strengthening of the US. And may I suggest that we could potentially continue to see that continuation to the upside here on that US based on that interest rate decision. Okay, so let's see how that may have affected some currency pairs. All right, so just keep this in mind that the US strengthened when the interest rate pushed up. So let's go to GBP USD, for example. Now notice I like to use the IC Markets data feed right here. There are many data feeds. This one is FXCM, this one is Wanda, this is Forex.com, Pepperstone. I like to use my IC Markets. Okay, so the interest rate caused the dollar to strengthen on Wednesday. This is Tuesday. Well, it just pretty much continued. Anyways, so, right, because the dollar is getting strong against the pound, right, the British pound, US dollar currency pair was falling, right? So this was Wednesday when the announcement was made, had a little bit of a pullback right to a mood swing level right here, and then continued to the downside. Okay, continue to the downside. This is our mood swing level here. Okay, so the mood is swinging down. Right, so again, I'm expecting and looking for a continuation to the downside on this GBP USD. Again, generally, we could expect a little bit of a pullback to our mood swing level. And of course, our bias is for a continuation to the down. So what we do, we go to our mood swing tool settings right here, and then we could put on the bears right there, and then just hit OK. Okay. We go down to a smaller time frame, like say for example, like a 15-minute or so, and then we will wait. All right, we will wait. So this was what? This was Friday, right? So we'll wait for the market to open up, right? So all of this was on Friday. So even Thursday here, right? It's actually a nice bears to the downside in the London session, and it dropped off quite nicely. That was over 90 pips on Thursday. And let's see here, that's over 60 pips on Friday. Let's see, when did this start? Okay, so this started in the Asian session. One thing I'm noticing, right? I don't know if you're noticing as well, but the Asian session really kickstarts some of these moves. And sometimes we wake up and see, oh my, I've lost. I've missed the move. I don't know if you've noticed that, but a lot of moves are happening in the Asian session. So don't sleep on the Asian session at all, right? Especially those people in the US, because your time is several hours behind the UK. During the Asian session is like sleep time. Yeah, that's right. During the Asian session is usually like sleep time in the UK, but you guys could still be up, right? It's like around 10 o'clock your time, 10, yeah, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. US time. So you guys don't sleep on the Asian session at all, because some serious moves happen in the Asian session. Even this one here on Wednesday, this was during the Asian session here as well. Big drop off, right? Okay. So we're biased for selling off on these pairs. Let's go to a bigger time frame and see, and just mark off some key price levels here. Switch this off for a minute. Don't want too much noise. All right, okay. So let's say, for example, we've seen this price level got broken. When I say this price level, I mean right here. Right, so this is where we're doing a little bit of technical analysis here now. Right, so this price level got broken. It was respected previously, is now broken. So again, the bias to sell is even stronger from a technical standpoint. Okay. And we could start looking at, let's go time frame daily, for example. Right, so this is what I would classify as a daily, like, previous resistance level. Seeing it here? Okay. So we could target that. And from where we at there now to there, that's over 100 pips. So, right? So again, I'm looking for a pullback and then a continuation to the downside here, right? We pull back to our mood swing level here, but you could see that we potentially have a nice drop to take advantage of with this. Now, this was Friday's mood swing level here. A new mood swing level is going to print, right? So it may well print a little bit lower down when the market opens up. For those of you who want to see it pretty much immediately as the market opens up, you could go down to a lower time frame to be able to see where that level is, okay? Go down to a 15-minute or a 5-minute time frame. That's the little secret right there. If not, if you're on the hour time frame, you'll have to wait until like about 2 hours into the Asian session before you see it. But if you want to see it quicker, go down to a lower time frame. All right? Okay, so there we go. That's how we're gonna set up this GBP USD here for a play to the downside short. Putting my stop loss just above this previous mood swing level here. Yeah. And our entry will be within this zone. For those of you who are not accustomed to the trade setups, green is our entry levels, right? Entry zone, green. And blue will be our take profit target. Now, what I like to do is I go from my ultimate take profit target here and I go to my entry. And then I just use the Fibonacci tool here to even out the take profit targets. Right, so ultimate take profit target is there. Right, and I'll put one at the 38.2 and probably one at the 68.5. Yeah, okay. So I have like 3 take profit targets, and that's it. That's it. Nothing more special than that. Okay. I'm gonna erase this. Okay. So essentially, excuse me. Essentially, we have a zone. All right, cool. So I'll post this into the chat. Copy this image. All right, I'll post it into the trade setups group. Cool. Okay. Let's look at something like AUD, USD as well. We'll look at gold, but we'll look at gold last. So, and again, this was Wednesday when the news hit. Big push to the downside. It did actually react off of a mood swing level of that day. Had a reaction there and then pushed up, but then it pushed up and then reacted off of a mood swing level of Thursday and then a big drop. Oh, that was a really actually really nice setup. That was a really nice setup. So after the news, this is why sometimes you just when the news happens, just wait. Like we see the news, say, all right, okay, based on that news, we go to index, we see, all right, it was positive for the US, and just wait for pullback to a mood swing level, boom, drop. That was actually a very nice setup, and it dropped for over 50 pips on the AUD USD. 50 pips on AUD USD is good because it doesn't really give that many pips on any given day, and that would have been a beautiful entry off of a mood swing level, right? 60 pips. Okay. So again, I'm pretty much biased for a continuation on this AUD USD. Again, we'll have to wait for the mood swing level to print, but we're looking for a sell-off here on this AUD USD, targeting this area here. So where price is at the moment, all right, so that's what, another like 40 pips. We'll have to wait for a mood swing level to print, but definitely want to keep our eye on. Right? Definitely want to keep our eye on. And even early last week was some nice pushes from the upside, tap on mood swing level to the pip, and then continue pushing up. NZD USD will be pretty much similar to AUD USD. Right? Right. So again, the big drop off here when the news happened and then pull back to the mood swing level. A little bit of a drawdown here, but pretty much same theme of the US getting stronger. So those pairs are dropping. Something like a USD JPY should be pushing up. Right? So there we go. To push to the upside. Again, interest rate happened. Look at how beautiful it came, tapped the mood swing level. So interest rate happened on Wednesday. We had the push to the upside, came right back to our mood swing level here, and then a beautiful move to the upside, right? So, and that's over 200 pips. Okay, so you don't have to be first to the market when the news happens. You really don't. Just wait, see what the result is, and then there's most of the time always some sort of a pullback. So this is where the patience comes in. Gotta be patient. Let the data give you information about what direction what we should be headed in, and then mood swing for entries. Boom. And that's how simple things could be. You know? All right. So again, I'm pretty much biased for this to continue to the upside here. Well, we gotta wait for a little bit of a pullback, wait for mood swing level to print. It's not gonna print until the market opens up. But bias for a continuation to the upside on this. Right? Continuation to the upside here. Let me just go up to a bigger time frame again. And let's mark off. We could mark off some key levels. I mean, this could travel some way. Right? So USD JPY, you could keep that on your watch list as well. Right? So we've got some highs right here. Keep that, definitely keep that on the watch list. Sure, let's see how far away that is. All right, so that's a nice 400 pips that I could continue going. So keep USD JPY on your list as well. And one of the reasons why I said let's keep that on the list is because the JPY had interest rate decision, and if we go to our JPY index, right? So let me just bring up the JPY index, right? When the interest rate happened for the Japanese yen, it actually weakened the yen, right? So this was on Thursday. Right, so this is Wednesday here. On Thursday, you see when the interest rate happened, the yen fell out of the sky and it's gonna continue to fall. So this is why I'm saying that the US and JPY pairs are a good one to keep an eye on, because the US strengthened while the Japanese yen weakened. And of course, a strong currency against a weak currency, that gives you a nice trading opportunity. Okay. So definitely keep an eye on the USD JPY. Okay. Smaller time frame. I draw the setup in, but I know that we're gonna have a mood swing level printed Probably a little bit. It shouldn't be too far off, to be fair, because we had pretty much consolidation on Friday. So it shouldn't be too far off from where this one is. And again, I'm just using my Fibonacci here to even out the take profit targets. And that's it. All right. If we stick with, let's just see what's happening. Euro. Let's look at euro, see what the interest rate decision did on the euro currency. Right, so that interest rate decision was on Thursday as well. All right, so Thursday, I mean, this was at 1300 hours. Yeah, 1300 hours. It didn't seem like it shake it that much. Thursday, 1300 hours. Okay, so the euro fell, had a little bit of a recovery, and then it continued falling as well. So something like a euro USD would have been falling as well, right? Because US got strong, euro got weak, right? Euro USD would be falling. Yeah, there we go. See it? Right? So again, with this euro USD, we look for a continuation to the downside. I mean, again, that was the US news, came back to a mood swing level pretty much to the pip, drop. Right? Friday was consolidation and a little bit of drop off. We're gonna look for a continuation to the downside on the euro USD when the market opens up. And look at this. This was a big, huge push to the upside here on some news, and the market never really came back down to this level. So this is a really good technical level for price to be drawn back into, okay? If we're looking for a continuation to the downside here. Okay, this is a very good technical level. And in fact, we look at this, right? Right, this level got broken. Again, support and resistance level here, right? It got broken. So we're definitely looking for a continuation to the downside. Okay. So we're looking for a continuation down. Let's see how many potential pips we got there, like over 100, right? So again, Euro USD is definitely one to keep an eye on as well, because the interest rate fundamental decision is driving the market, is driving the US at the moment, is driving the Japanese yen, is driving the euro. So we got some fundamental data showing that we should see some movement on those currencies. Okay. All right. Let's go to the Mr. Gold. Mr. Gold had been consolidating. Right, we're seeing all sorts happening right now in the world. And yeah, Mr. Gold is consolidating right now. Okay. Um, so again, the interest rate decision on Wednesday, it had a little bit of effect on it, but not as it did with the other currencies. Now remember, they say gold USD here, um, which kind of suggests that gold is being traded against the US, but it's not really. It's not really, to be honest, right? It's almost like Bitcoin USD. Like Bitcoin not really being traded against the US. So uh, gold is a commodity pretty much all by itself. Things that happen in the US, does it affect the gold prices? Yes. But what affects gold prices more than what's happening in the US? Could anyone say in the chat? What affects the gold prices more than what is happening in the US? Somebody says war. Okay. Yes, that is the right answer, Maureen. World events. World events. What is happening in the world affects gold pricing way more than what is happening in the US. Okay. So at the moment, we saw the ceasefire in Israel, right? And this had, I believe that this had brought about a little bit of drop off here in gold. Okay. But now we still seeing a little bit of uncertainty in in the world in terms of now we see the US has pulled up in Venezuela, Trinidad waters. And who would have thought that, potentially that might be a little bit of a war going on in the Caribbean? Could you imagine that? Could you imagine? So there's some tensions down in Venezuela at the moment. But now, Mr. Trump has started to threaten the Nigerian government because of the persecution of Christians down there. So, things are happening that we could start potentially seeing some probably a bit more escalation of fighting. You never know. So for the moment, gold has been sideways, but I tell you what, yeah, we just had to keep an eye on gold, right? For now, the mood swing is pretty much swinging to the upside, but for the last 3 days, when we start seeing things like the mood swing levels very close to each other, it's just pretty much a ranging market. It's never really nice to be trading in a ranging market. So we'll have to see how price or wait for price to kind of break out of this range on gold. Well, the indices is not really trading against the US either, right? The indices are an entity of themselves. In fact, the indexes is are just a combination of several companies within a certain sector. So, like, say for example, the NAS is the sector that has to do with technology, right? So a lot of tech companies is like they put all their shares together in this one index, if you want to call it that, and you're pretty much trading what is happening in the tech industry. Okay, like the US 30 are just very big um, corporations. So what is happening within that space? So it's not really against the US per se. Um, but you know what, as we hear, we'll look at some indexes as well. So if you know what's happening in the yeah, if you know what's happening in the tech industry per se, they have their quarterly earnings or um certain announcements within the tech industry. it will cause NAS to either rise or fall, right? So that is what drives the prices on NAS, not necessarily the US economy in and of itself. Okay. Right. So yeah. So I was saying on gold, let's see how it whether it's gonna break out of this range. I'll give this range a different color. Oh. Right, yeah. Let's see how it breaks to the upside or downside of this range. But I think once it breaks out of this range, whatever side it breaks out of this range, I think that's where we definitely want to be trading in, right? Wait for a breakout of the range here. So patience on this gold. I mean, for the moment, it's saying that we should potentially be looking to the upside based on where mood swing is at. So just an added confirmation is that let it break out of that range. Okay, so we stick with that on gold. So let's check out index for the moment. Let's check out NAS, for example. Um, for the index, I like to use the Oanda data feed. So let's check out this NAS right here. Okay. So wow, that was choppy like crazy there. Earlier in the month. But again, you see it rose. I mean, generally, indices rise unless there's a recession. Generally, they push to the upside, right? And one of the reasons for that is the pension funds and all of that. They buy into these indexes for long periods of time. So there's money always flowing into these indices, right? And again, unless there's some sort of a recession, I think we had a big drop off COVID time. So this was the big COVID drop off here. But then as you could see, massive recovery from then. Right? Just buy the index and hold on. I mean, that's one of the easiest ways to surefire make some money. Uh, is to buy the indexes, just buy S&P 500, buy NAS, and just buy and hold for the long term is pretty much always going to be going up. Right? Look at that. All right. Okay, so this big drop off here, that was the recession in 2008, 2009, and then look at what happens. Right? And then of course there was the um COVID, and then look at what happened. So I say we either wait for a nice recession and then buy the index and hold it for a long period of time. You definitely will be in the money here. But that's kind of crazy though. From the index was 1,000 something in 2009, and then now it's at 25,000. That is incredible. But yeah, as I'm saying, the index generally is pushing to the upside, no matter which one you're looking at. but from time to time, you'll get a little bit of a pullback, but overall, the trend is upwards. All right. So if you could get into a nice drop off like this, you see a big drop off, get into it for a buy and hold. Um, well, ish. Depends on gold. Depends. Again, gold is driven a lot by world events. So again, it depends on what is happening in gold. But I mean, gold has been pushing up like crazy though. No doubt about it. Right? So last week that was pretty choppy. Um, may see a little bit of a pullback on these indices. This week may see a little bit of a pullback, but overall, if we go to the monthly here, we could see that this US 30 is pretty much been traveling upside. Again, this was the recession in 2008, 2009, and then massive push to the upside. Again, this was recession in 2020, and then a continuation to the upside. Okay. Awesome. Right. So that will be it for the moment. Just keep our eyes on the US pairs, Japanese yen pairs, um, euro pairs if you're looking at that as well. And we're waiting for a break on the um gold. Let's see what's coming up this week in this week's news, actually. Let's see what's coming up this week. So, we do have interest rates on Australia, and we do have interest rate on the pound, right? So we had the interest rate on US, Japanese yen, and euro last week. This week is going to be the Australian and the pound that's going to be featuring on the interest rate spectrum. So keep an eye on that because that's going to drive things for sure. And as I said, you could let the interest rate play out, let the figures come through, and you can even wait for the next day before you make a decision. Look at the indexes and see what would happen to the index when the news happen, right? So in this case, it will be the Australian index. See what happens when the news is released, and then I will give you an idea of where we could see a push on the Australian um, currency. Okay. I did put a link to these indexes in the chat. I would find them again and post it again. So if you missed it, you'll have it. Okay. Um. All right. So have a fantastic week, everyone. We'll see each other in the on the inside. And until then, bye bye for now. Have a fantastic week.